Hi everyone, welcome back to Let's Get Political. I am your host, Alicia Reese. Today we have Representative Fabian Basabe with us. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for answering these questions. Who is your best friend at the Capitol?
So I love Representative Alina Garcia. She has just been, she's kind of like, they call it the house mom. I call her La Mafia because she knows everyone's business. Nobody messes with her. Her heart is always in the right place. And she's kind of been a great resource for me, guiding me forward on, the process since day one.
Who is your best friend from across the aisle?
So there's a representative named Marie Woodson, and I love her. She's a class act. She's just a great lady, and I really appreciate her, and we're co-sponsoring a bill this session together.
What do you do when you aren't in Tallahassee, and what do you do when you are in Tallahassee and you're not at the Capitol?
So when I'm not in Tallahassee, I'm back in the district, and when I'm at home, I am everywhere. If you've researched my campaign at all, we were just a very visible campaign. I was at every community event, every official meeting, every homeowners association, if it was happening in the district, I was there. To the extent that I possibly could physically make it there. Sun up, sundown, and beyond. I was everywhere, and it was a true pleasure because I really got to know, my constituents.
What's your favorite bill that you put forth last session?
So last session, I'm very concerned about the environment in Biscayne Bay, and that's something very important to, I think, everybody. And we have a lot of advocates up here this session as well, because we're continuing that. But I was able to get a wastewater management grant funded at $200 million in the DEP package. And this is a great resource now that we can offset costs of our taxpayers that have to pay to fix what's kind of broken, right? That's been broken for a very long time. And we can start addressing real problems. That pollution that's just been affecting our base. But it's been a lot. Our Biscayne Bay is part of our brand identity. It's, and it needs to be protected. It's been suffering a lot between the pollution from our broken pipes and the, derelict boats and at-risk boats and just bad actors in general. So I've been taking an aggressive stance in facing that.
What's a bill that someone else put forth that you didn't realize you were passionate about until you read it?
I think people would be surprised. 98% of the bills up here get passed with unanimous support. So I think collectively, that was impressive to me. That's what I appreciated. There wasn't one that I could single out. I was just so excited to see the speed at which things get done up here and how much you can impact. If your heart's in the right place and you're doing the job, this is the most impressive process.
Do you live in your district?
I do. Contrary to, opposition's claims, I do. I've not only lived in my district for a very long time, I've raised my child there. I also lived in the district when I was much younger. So 15 years this time around, 6 years when I was younger. My parents are actually one of the first hotels, I think the first hotel on Ocean Drive to fully restore and renovate an Art Deco hotel. That's, one of the most important things that we have is our tropical Art Deco brand on Ocean Drive, something else that we very much look to protect. It was the Boulevard Hotel. This was at a time when Miami Beach was just beginning. And I remember back in the day, I think my mom had rack rates at $100 a night. And I think everyone else had $16 and big packages. And they're like, you're crazy. And the first year they were in operation, they had one client. It was my dad's best friend who would just come in for a week, that year. And that was it. And then look how far Miami Beach has come.
You're running for re-election. Sum up your campaign in one word.
Heart. This is a true community service effort for me. I have no business interests in the district. I don't have any political aspirations. I kind of just went for something that I thought made sense and people were ready, and I wanted to prove a point. It started as an experiment for me. I wanted to prove that if somebody was willing to put themselves out there and represent people beyond the special interest groups, beyond the politics, and just really take a common sense center approach to a campaign, would they be successful? And I won the most historic election in the history of Florida.
If you win, where do you see Florida in the next 2 years?
So I represent the largest tax donor district in the country, second to Disney, but that's a completely separate monster, right? So with my re-election, we've already begun now, and I never pretended I knew what I was doing when I got into this. And now that I know what I'm doing with the real partnerships that I've created back at the district and the relationships that I have here in Tallahassee, I see things being transformative. We are making major headwinds on issues that really matter to people.
What's something about the Capitol that a lot of people don't know? Secret spot or a little known fact?
I think something people would be really excited to know is that we never know where anything is. It is so busy and so confusing in this labyrinth of a building with the several attachment buildings. I'm constantly just finding out who's going in which direction and just kind of trailing them there. I've been to my parking spot twice. It's impossible. I'd rather just walk the few ways I know how to get in and out of the building. We've got a great police force. I would not mess with this building. I know, and there's a lot of camaraderie here. I think that's something that people should be aware of as well. I mean, with all the sensationalism of politics right now, I think it's good for them to know that there's a lot of good-hearted, strong-minded people really trying to do the job.
What's a misconception people have about your job?
That it's part-time. I think people think that this is a simple process. And interestingly enough, I do say it is easy if you're trying to do the right thing, but you have, you're walking into, someone else's process, someone else's agenda, different advocacy groups, different stakeholders, and you've got to really carefully navigate this. It is certainly not easy, but you cannot compromise your integrity. You've got to do what's right and follow your heart. And I don't know. I think it gets easier.
If you weren't a state representative, what would you do?
I always said that I would donate my time to community service or teaching in my later years, and this came first. But I do believe that education starts at home. I had the privilege of being a full-time parent, and I'd like to affect as much influence, positive influence for our youth these days. I think life is just getting too confusing for them.
What's a fun fact about your job that people don't know?
That it actually is fun. I mean, you see a lot of high tensions and stress in this building, but it's as disgusting as entering the political world might be. It's truly a privilege, and I really am enjoying it.
What does your perfect day include?
So if you would have asked me this question a few years ago, my perfect day is kind of part of my last life. Usually boats and fun events and surrounded by people I love and good times. And now I would say my perfect day is finding people that are willing to have an honest conversation and get things done. I get such a thrill when I connect with someone that was set up to be against me from the get-go. And when you see that you make that headway, you really get inspired, for the next meeting and for what I'm doing. This was my sweat equity. I mean, I had a great team, but I was self-funded. I campaigned like hell, and I'm really trying to make a difference. And it's nice to see that it's possible.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And this has been Let's Get Political.
Pleasure.